hello, and welcome to episode 155 of Convincing Idiots. This week, we're getting together again. We're discussing all the things we regularly do, as well as we are discussing a man who was a great success in paying tribute to Bob Barker. We're also discussing something that is not quite a success in the box office, as well as, of course, the successes that are we. What will our legacies be long after we're gone? And for our final segment this week, we are discussing our individual Mount Rushmores of video games of all time. So you're not going to want to miss it. Unpause this game and let's start the show.
All right. Test.
Test. You call it again? Convincing Idiots.
Convincing Idiots.
Called it ham gravy.
I informed them that I sided with the stat man, not just anyone's opinion, the stat man Brian Fisher.
These kids today.
Jingle All the Way is in fact the best Christmas movie of all time.
I need to get Grandma a present, and my herpes is flaring up. I got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yo. I'm the millennial
We're
Santa.
three friends representing three different generations. That's our whole shtick. That's our thing.
Mm-hmm.
Nick got the whole poop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm standing in the sea
Awesome.
breeze, holding a turd, just mightily. I'm just going hitting hats.
Anyway, on a lighter note,
And welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the vodcast. Welcome to the broadcast. Boys and girls, welcome to the show. This is Convincing Idiots. My name's Dean. They call me the Zennial.
I'm Brian Gen X.
And I am what is known as a millennial. And my name is Nick. And if this is your first time joining us, we are Convincing Idiots, a weekly podcast of three friends representing three different generations, getting together, like I said, weekly to talk about all things nerd
Most of us.
and pop culture. Most of us, most of the time, not always. So if you've not already done so, please feel free to like, subscribe, rate, review, share us even with your friends on all your favorite social media platforms. We are on the vast majority of them. Rather than tell them all to you one by one, I would invite you to go find our Convincing Idiots link tree. Just Google Convincing Idiots, LINKTREE, and you will find links to each and every social media account which we are on, as well as our merch store, places that you can listen to this podcast each and every week so that you may subscribe. You can also find that and so much more on our website, and that's convincingidiots.wordpress.com. You can find that. You can find, again, like I said, we've got merch. We got ways that you can help out the show. In addition to that, you can learn a little bit about us if you even care to do so. Or you can find us on Boss Code Media or Boss Code TV, which is a application on your smart TV or your smartphone that you can download. It's a bunch of original content creators on there. We're on there. Our friends on It Came From Gen X are also on there, so be sure to look them up as well. So we've told you where to find us. We've told you how to stay in touch with us. Now it is time for us to do what we do and stay in touch with one another. And so I'd like
You're
to know...
going to touch me?
I stay... Well, if I'm staying in touch, that could be in touching you. Yes.
Yeah, it
So,
is.
other than being left alone by yourself to touch Dean for the last 2 weeks, Brian, what have you been up to?
Let's see. Nice weekend. Of course, Dean probably will elaborate further on his fun event at his place that we were all
So
at.
how would he do that? He doesn't remember most of it.
Yeah, that's right. He's not the latter part of it. That's for sure.
I remember most.
Yeah. Yes, and I have. I don't know if you can see it or not. Can you see it? Maybe it's just out of camera.
Somebody might have been the champion.
Yeah, I got a medal hanging back here. I'll have to move it and get it in camera shot here.
Correct.
But,
With
yeah.
was it strawberry shortcake beer?
Yes.
No, was that what it was?
That's what it was. Strawberry shortcake
go ahead
beer.
and mention it if you're going to go into that many in depth.
Well, Dean had a annual beer tasting at his place, and we being Megan, changed up the rules. So it was a blind rating, which I thought was a lot of fun. So we rated the beers and different aspects, color, aroma, taste, etc. I thought that was really clever. And each beer got a score, and then Megan added everything up on a spreadsheet, and highest scores won. So Allie and I, on our getaway over the summer here recently, we went to the Y Bridge Brewing Company in Zanesville, Ohio. Give them a shout out, excuse me. And one of their beers won. I had that beer at the brewery. I thought it was very good. We bought some to go, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to save these for the beer tasting, and glad I did. Yes, absolutely. So
now, may I interview you for a second?
Sure.
How does it make you feel? Does it make you question the legitimacy of years prior? And how does it make you feel to know that you were some might say the first true champ? Because in years past, everyone knows who's beer. And, John won a couple times back to back. Dean won last year. But this is the first true, completely unbiased win of anyone. So what would you say to the claims that perhaps the legitimacy before was compromised, and that if you are now the true champion, how might you answer to that question?
I do like this format because you might be swayed, even like you might feel that the beer that you brought was indeed the best, and you might even be swayed to vote for your own, or feel bad voting for your own and vote for somebody else's really thought your own. So it does create other odd dynamics when you know who brought what, right? So I like this because you are truly rating the beer itself, no other factors.
So
you don't know what it is. Go ahead.
So what would you say for the other side of people that are saying because you brought multiple beers rather than just one full 6-pack, that you were cutting into the competition?
I honestly didn't even think about that. I saw some different beers I thought would be fun to try. I was really focused on just trying different types of beer.
Sure.
I invested really a little bit more. Exactly. I invested a little bit more.
Very diplomatic response. Deflect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to win, by bringing multiple beers. The win was a bonus. I was just wanting other people to try different types of beer that Allie and I had enjoyed previously with Hop.
Well, yours definitely was the one that won. Definitely was. It was number one on my rating. I remember that.
Yeah, so there you go.
It was top 3. I think it might have been my second or whatever, but it was up there for me too. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very, very good. So, we could change the rules a little bit next year and have a limit to what you bring and this and that and the other, but Well,
I'm just busting your balls because if John hears this, and I know he's screaming at whatever device he would be listening to it.
He did add a comment.
He's probably screaming at it because it's a hunk of shit, not an iPhone, and so it doesn't work right. But
sure,
that would be why.
Yes, John did say that the win should have an asterisk, because of the multiple beers. So that's all right. Hey,
sounds like sore loser talk to me a little bit.
Next time, bring a better beer. That's right. As simple as that.
Yeah. It's like in wrestling. If the referee don't see you hold those tights, man, grab a handful and take the victory.
That's it. That's it. So I will continue to bask in my. And it's a shared victory because she and I both like that beer. So for the next year, so that's it. So too bad.
You got what do you guys like? Tag team champions here, co-champions?
Yeah,
sure.
All right.
Yeah, she get the medal for half a year if she wishes to display it in her home, which more than happy to do. Of course,
I will offer to her every other month, and she will decline every time.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, we're doing like every other day is what we're doing.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? So just really takes a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Work, drop off the medal. Next day you pick it up.
It's my weekend with the medal. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, we shared medal agreement. So
I like it. Yeah, that's rough.
It. That was the highlight, and that was it. So how are you, Dean?
Well, I'd like to first again say congratulations. If anybody had saw the video, me being the previous champ, I did bestow upon you the medal.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes.
no, seriously, thank you guys for coming out. It was this is the 11th year that we've had this beer tasting party. It kind of started, as you guys know, just kind of to get everybody to try, like Bryce said, new things.
Mhm.
Everybody gets to try a little bit of something new. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I liked the different change up of the voting, so to speak. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I don't remember exactly what time I fell asleep. We'll call it
6:30, I think it was.
It was not 6:30. I was like, it was dark. I know that. John actually sent me a picture of me sleeping in one of the chairs outside.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know how long. For all I know, I could have been blinking, and he just took that shot and he just caught it at the right time. That's what I'm telling myself.
I was there, and you must be the
No.
longest blinker in the world.
I'm a very long blinker. Yeah.
That picture may or may not have made its way to our Convincing Idiots story on Facebook.
Sure. No,
Yeah.
that makes sense. My blinking picture. No, I like that.
I also like being served by children. That was nice.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
Yes.
Have the children bring the alcohol. Next round.
It's good. You know, when you're in the kingdom of Dean,
Mhm.
you know, child labor laws don't apply. You know?
That's right. Nora
Lot
did a
of
great
rules
job.
apply.
She did a great
Yeah,
she
job
did.
serving, and yeah, it was great.
So yeah, again, thank you guys. Thank everybody else who came out. It was fun, and we'll see it again for the 12th annual. Right.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Other
There
than
you
that, I haven't really done much. Just working.
What'd you do on Sunday?
I don't. Nothing really. Just I wasn't. You'd think I was hungover, right?
I was gonna say, that's what I was implying.
I mean, I was sleepy.
Yeah.
I was sleepy, but I wasn't like hungover. Like I woke up early in the morning with a headache.
Yeah.
And then I popped some aspirin, went back to bed for a couple hours, and I was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was much better than I deserved.
Yeah.
Mm.
Although
Well, that's good.
all week my stomach's kind of been a little wobbly, so to speak.
Mhm.
I've been got the hot snakes sometimes.
Yeah.
Bubble guts,
Mhm.
got that whole thing going. But other than that, I'm fine. Nothing really else happening. What about you, Nick?
Well, Saturday, yes. Again, I'll just briefly. We've all spoken to it, but it was a lovely time, Dean. So thank you and Megan very much for putting that together and having us as well for the 11th annual. It's a fantastic time. I slept really good Saturday because Saturday I didn't do much this weekend, but Saturday was a busy ass day. We started out and we went to Akron Pride Saturday morning for the parade, which was awesome. We actually got to be in the parade. Because my mother works for the city of Akron, and they were like, bring all your family. Anybody who wants to march in the parade, come on down. So we got to walk in the parade, which was nice. It was a good stretch, downtown Akron, not too long, not too short, just enough. Lots of cool LGBTQ plus vendors in the area and different things you could buy and cool causes you could support. So it was really, really nice. Our first time being to Akron Pride. So a lot of fun down there for sure. Ran into a bunch of people we knew, so it was a really good time. And then after that, I was recruited to play in an annual charity hockey game for the firefighters against the police officers for the city of Greene. So that was a lot of fun. I was a little bit late showing up to Dean's party because of that, but it was a lot of fun. So
Was that because you were being a pecker checker? Is that what's happening? You take
I was
pecker checker?
I
Taking
have
showers
been known
with the
to linger.
firefighters?
I've been known to linger in the showers a little bit.
Longer.
And we got those burly firemen in there,
Well,
When the hoses are out, far be it
Wait.
from me to scoot off early. You know what I'm saying?
It would be rude if you really. It'd be very rude.
It would. It's disrespectful. So, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was something that I hope to take part in again in the future. So it was the 11th annual beer tasting, but a first for Pride and a first for the charity hockey game. So a lot of fun. And that was about it. Sunday, also, I was beat by the time I got home on Saturday. And then Sunday, I just laid around. I didn't do shit. So it was nice. Nice weekend.
Very good.
I've got a quick question. Were you all confused? Like I love the idea of going and supporting LGBTQ. parades and the pride and stuff. But like when you hear the term Akron Pride, you're like, "Ew, who would have that?"
Oh, like you're prideful of Akron?
Yeah. Like I read that in the paper. I'm like, the first initial headline. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
why would anybody?
Yeah.
And then
Although
I read on. I'm
say,
like, oh, okay.
it was it made you a little bit to see
Okay.
all these different businesses, churches, community
Yeah.
members like in
Well,
this
that's cool.
parade. It was a nice showing of Akron. It really was. It was a good.
I mean,
it was a good side of Akron.
I'm making a joke, obviously.
Yes, I know.
I quite actually enjoy Akron.
Yeah.
Especially downtown, the way they've been revamping it. It's starting to really come together.
Lots of nice restaurants and bars on that main drag there, and patios, and everybody's out having a good time. Very cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Very good. Well, we all did some fun things. So Nick, we'll just stay with, have you seen anything interesting you wish to recommend an idiot review, sir?
Yes, I'm sure you guys have already talked about it, but I was not here to discuss. I'm sure you both have talked about
Then
Ahsoka.
don't fucking bring it up.
Because you've been watching Ahsoka. I've been watching Ahsoka. I'm up to speed on Ahsoka. And
what do you think? It's getting mixed reviews.
Yeah. Let's take the moment of kind of run because I'm sure this is what we've all seen it. So Nick, go first.
Yes. Yeah. This has and I think I mentioned this to Brian on Saturday. This has the potential for me to be my favorite thing that Disney has done with Star Wars. I really like where this is going. I like the characters. I like the proximity of the storyline of the characters I already know and care about. I really like it a lot. Like I'm digging it. Like we'd mentioned on past episodes, we reviewed the episode that was basically centered around Ahsoka in The Mandalorian, which this was kind of a springboard to this series. I just think Rosario Dawson does an incredible job. I think the character of Ahsoka is really cool, very powerful, holds her own, very dynamic. And I love the characters they're bringing in from Rebels.
Nick, that's going to be my question. Did you watch Rebels or any of those?
I know it through osmosis of like Lane watching it a lot when it was on.
Okay.
At that time, Lane watched it a lot and was familiar with all these characters, so I know of the characters from that. I didn't necessarily watch every episode or couldn't tell you a whole lot about Rebels, but I am familiar with the characters. So I think it's cool that they're bringing all that into this. They're tying in now, as of this most recent episode, without any spoilers to anyone who's not seen it yet, they're also tying in Andor. There's all these different things that are coming in. And if you've seen, The Mandalorian, there's, like I said, the characters from there brought into the Ahsoka show. So I don't know. I love it so far. I think it's great. I was already excited for it. Like this was one of the things I was excited to see when they announced it. So far I love it. First two episodes I was really into. Third one's fine. Third one I felt is setting up a deeper plot, and that's fine. It wasn't my favorite episode, but it was cool for what it was.
I think it was necessary.
Yeah, right.
I think the third episode was necessary because the first two are explaining kind of filling in people who didn't watch Rebels. It's kind of all right, we got to make you at least care a little bit about these characters before we move forward. And this one, like you said, is setting up what the next 4 episodes, coming up, ending of it is going to be.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So I, so far, big fan. I'm excited to see where they take it. I've been impressed with it so far and quite smitten with Miss Sabine.
As you should be.
I'm a big fan of hers. So yeah, just it's a lot of fun. It's a fun show so far. So,
let's go incestuous with this because
love it. Yeah.
The actress who plays Hera.
Yeah.
The green alien with the long.
Yes.
She is married to Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, I saw.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
So keeping it in the Star Wars family there.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
I thought that was a neat little fact.
Okay, cool. I did not know that. But yeah, I'm a fan so far. Additionally to Ahsoka, I've only actually saw the first 2 episodes, so I'm a little bit behind. But Only Murders in the Building started back up on Hulu.
I have yet to get that up.
New season introduced.
It's good. I'm enjoying it too, Nick. Yeah.
Yeah, we got Paul Rudd and Meryl Streep in this season, so both are phenomenal. How could it be bad? Right, exactly. So it was already a winning formula, and now they added 2 other actors that you love and are amazing. So that's been fun so far. And then the main thing I knocked out, actually that's what I did on Sunday. We've talked before about the Netflix Untold documentaries. There is a 4-part series called Swamp Kings that is about the Florida Gators when they were winning they had 2 national championships and should have been 3 and 4 years, but they have with Tim Tebow and all that stuff and Urban Meyer. Man, that's really good. I mean, I remember watching those games. I remember when Tebow was playing and stuff, I was all on board and watching his games and stuff. So it was kind of fun to go back and relive that time. And I remember like being with this friend watching this game. So it's a lot of fun.
Friends?
And I had friends.
Oh,
this was
good.
back in 2007-ish.
So yeah, before they
I did.
Figured out who you were and
correct. Yeah,
that makes sense.
And now I'm here with you guys. So,
it's just podcast acquaintances now. That's it.
They're strictly professional.
Pod acquaintances. But yeah, that's really awesome. It shows just the insanity that those guys trained at and what Urban Meyer demanded of them, the behind the scenes stuff, people getting in trouble and, stuff like that. After they started getting a taste of a little bit of fame when they started winning and then being where they were, obviously you give kids that age a lot of popularity and fame or whatever have you, it's bound to get out of control. So it touches on that a little bit.
It's rough for the three of us to do it, and we're in our middle aged,
right? Yeah,
but
you get a good kind of glimpse into the personality of some of the big players that were a part of those teams and stuff, and takes you through that little 4 or 5 year span. But I would strongly recommend that if you like sports documentaries at all. This one, like I said, it's a 4-parter, and each episode's like 45 to an hour long. So knock it out in 4 hours or so. But Swamp Kings on Netflix, very, very good. Very highly recommend. So that's it. That's all I've seen that's new in my world.
Very good.
Yeah, I would have to imagine that however much Urban Meyer yells at the Gators players back then, I'm like 10 times with you guys off camera.
Right.
At least 10 times.
Yeah. You at least have me crying at least twice before we start every week.
Yeah. It's a goal. It's at least twice. I keep shooting for 3.
Yeah.
But
when we go away between segments 2 and 3, I throw up all over the place. Yeah, just out of nerves and just exhaustion. Yeah.
And it's not even because he's mean, Nick. It's a fetish of his. Not many people know this.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, he always has to watch me throw up. It's very strange. He won't end the call until he's seen it.
And he pinches his nipples while doing it. I always found that strange, but to each his own.
Yeah.
The outtakes we have are incredible.
Right.
It's incredible.
That's on our Convincing Idiots only fans. If you go there, you can pay.
We're saving them up. That's right.
Saturday, before I fell asleep, he had me crying, and he made me collect them in a little vial, and then he put it in his cleavage and said, "I'll save this for later." I don't know what he did with it. You know what? I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Yep.
I kind of do. Still.
Yep. I'm trying to get a growler full of Dean's tears by the end of 2023.
That's right.
I'm like halfway there. So I'm a little bit behind the curve.
Sure.
Dean, have you seen anything interesting besides Ahsoka? Oh, go ahead.
No, that's what I'm saying. Ahsoka is the only thing. I've watched a few things, but nothing I'd recommend.
Okay.
Yeah, Ahsoka. I'm digging it. Like I think Nick said it quite well. First 2 were a great setup. I love the idea that people have been clamoring for, like, oh, we don't need the Skywalkers saga. We could use Star Wars, but with just new characters. And for a lot of people, these characters are new. Yes, you may have seen Ahsoka in 1 or 2 episodes of the other things. Excuse me. Of the other things. I'm about to fall asleep here. But and the rest of the characters from Rebels are new to the majority of viewers, right? So this is new Star Wars characters. But you also now still get the kick-ass lightsaber fights. Different versions of them. You get to see, you get to see the droids, you get to see the fighting, the starships fighting each other and stuff. So you get all the Star Wars things from new characters. So like this should be what everybody has been clamoring for, right? So
Sure.
I'm enjoying the hell out of it, and it helps me that I do know. Like Nick said, I didn't watch all of Rebels. I watched enough of them to know, and then have the grasp of the concept of it. So I've been enjoying the characters. I've been enjoying the story so far. As in Rosario Dawson's portrayal of Ahsoka, I've heard some people complain that she's so very stoic and like serious, and if you look at Rebels or you look at the Clone Wars, she was this bubbly.
She's older. She's a
Right, that's
like
what I'm
grown
saying.
woman
She's
now.
aged 20-some years since then.
Right.
If you would see me 20 years ago, all right, maybe I'm a bad example because I was probably a crotchety old man back then still, but other people 20 years ago would be totally different people, right?
Right.
So this is what you're getting. You're getting an older, wiser, more experienced Force user. And what she's been through was hell.
Mm-hmm.
So, with all that, she should be of this version that you see her, the stoic, very serious. And you may get a little bit, depending on who she encounters. It might be a little different, but no. In general, I'm enjoying the hell out of it. I'm looking forward to it, and it has brought me. And I'll let's pull back the curtain real quick. And what do you guys think in the future? Sometime, I know we rated our Star Wars movies in like the first 2 episodes of this entire podcast. What if we did our ranking of the entire Star Wars movies? Series, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And did like a top 5. We could do Mount Rushmore. We could work that behind, whatever. But like everything, let's rank everything.
Yeah. You know what? Let's put it. Let's plan that. It's our 3-year anniversary is coming up. That might be a topic to work in there, perhaps.
I like that.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
All right. So Brian, you see anything? What you want to recommend?
Watching, motherfucker?
Yeah, Ahsoka, I'm with you guys. It's fun.
It just moved.
That's right. I like that. I never watched. I know what Rebels was. I sort of know what Clone Wars was. I never watched them. I'm not against them. I just when those came out, I was into other things and a little bit. So I never go back and watch them. So I'm one where I'm familiar with the characters a little bit, Ahsoka, but I'm not that familiar at all. So, but it's entertaining. I like the series. I love Rosario Dawson, like you guys. I like the fact that there's Force users that are not necessarily defined as Sith or Jedi. I think that's interesting as well because those characters are cool. I don't know, and the effects, everything's great. So it just relax.
Speaking of like cool though, like how sad is it that like one of the coolest Force users we've seen yet, just by his presence, isn't going to be able to be in there anymore after this? With the Balin guy.
Oh right, yeah.
Because he passed away. Like every time he's on screen, he's fucking like that dude's like it. Like as soon as he comes on screen, you're like, holy shit, that's he's very Count Dooku-ish. Like you knew he would just like powerful, It just kind of sucks that this is it.
Yeah, good actor, good look at this, the whole thing. Yep. Yeah, I agree. And I like the fact too that they have a droid who helps teach the Force. I mean, all that's kind of cool as well.
That is cool. I like that.
So
he was in the Rebels show.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, still, it's neat to see that on live action. It's just interesting. So if everybody's like unhappy with it, just relax, settle down, just enjoy it. It's just fun. So.
You're talking to Star Wars fans, right?
Right.
The most difficult to please fan base of all.
You're right about that.
Have you met wrestling fans?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They are just up at the toxicity level of each other. They just love to shit on everything.
Yeah, just settle down. And I started watching Telemarketers. This is a documentary on Max. So I'm a couple episodes into this. This is a true story. These guys started filming this documentary years ago. So they were telemarketers for a company called CDG, and basically what it was it was sort of a front to raise money for the FOP lodges, right? And it's all a partnership. So the way they explain it, you kind of work with the local FOP, and basically you let them know that, we're going to call, and we're going to raise money, and we're going to give you money, and then we're going to keep the difference. And then the FOP, again, this is their explanation, right? They go into these partnerships, they take some money, and meanwhile, most of the money is going into this, whoever's running the companies and all that. They pay the telemarketers so much as that. So it seems like there's a lot of these across the nation. It's very hard, as you can imagine, to try to regulate these type of companies. And these guys actually work for CDG, who's making this documentary, and they're going around and they're interviewing different people, and it just very interesting how what they did, I mean, they admit the shadiness of the whole thing, right? They admit that like this was all a scam, and they have old footage out there when they were in the call center. I mean, there's people in there smoking, drinking. I mean, it's just, as long as you're selling, it was that type of environment, man. So again, it's kind of neat to see that type of thing. I was in telemarketing for a while. That was the first job that I had, and then I managed.
That's how Brian and I met.
That's right. That's exactly correct. I've managed call centers in different capacities for a long time, outbound and inbound. Some of the people that I see, man, it really rings true, because it is fun. You're not paying people a lot of money, and these are people that are big time hustlers. They know how to talk. And they're interviewing a guy that helped found CDG. He's anonymous, but he's very open and real. He basically says something along the lines of, some of the best salespeople you hire, I don't want to hear about college degree. You hire a crackhead.
Oh yeah,
because a crackhead knows how to talk to people. He knows how to get. He knows
how to get what they want.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's it. And then they show a guy who literally is a crackhead, and they walk with him. He walks down the street. He sees a van with a phone number on, like a local business. He said, "I'm going to call this guy right now." Calls him right there on his cell phone. Starts rapping with the guy, and he has a whole pitch, and gets a sale. Boom! Right there, and just by talking with the guy. Just
can I tell a quick story?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, I like Brian. I have done different telemarketing jobs, throughout my times. I've done multiple different kinds of venues. So this one I had real quick. It was a credit card thing where I was putting. And this was legit, all legit. There were a credit card thing where I was just taking information. Somebody's signing up for a credit card, right? And I was just taking their information. And I did so well at it, they come to me and they said, well, we want to move you across the room to, kind of a promotion. I'm like, oh, perfect. So I get over there and I sit down, and it's a televangelist. And the televangelist was asking people to give them money, right? So my first day as that, in that position, this old woman calls and she's crying. She sounds to be in her 70s, 80s. She's crying, saying, the gentleman on TV just promised me. The gentleman on TV just promised me if I would send Jesus my last $5 from my bank account, he would give me 100. So that's what I'm doing. And I couldn't do it, Brian. I stopped her. I said, honey, he's scamming you. This is all a work. He's scamming you. Hang up. Do not turn off your TV. This isn't real. Save your money. Go do something else with it. So I hung up with her, walked up and said, I'm done. And I quit.
Yep.
I couldn't do it. I don't know what it takes for some of these guys to do stuff like that to scam people, but I just don't have it in me.
Yeah, it's a whole other level of desperation, trying to make money. Is all kinds of reasons.
Yeah.
Or and there's no other. You can't get it. Some of these guys you can't. They find it difficult to get a job anywhere. Some of these guys have
Sure.
felonies or whatever it is, and that's part of it too, right? So that
Yeah.
they will hire if you can sell. All these places will hire you. I'll give you one rule. When I managed a big center for a company down in Canton for like 4 years, that was tough work, because you people were coming and going all the time. I had a great leadership team. These guys were wonderful. They made it tolerable. Without these guys around me, including it's some very, very good people. I'll just leave it there. They made it to where you could survive. You know what I mean? A legitimate conversation I had with one of my managers. He came in and he goes, such and such was arrested. Okay, last night. So that's why he's not here. Without missing a beat, my next question to him was, is it a felony? Right? Because a felony, you're gone. You can't come back.
Right.
But if you're just in jail overnight,
Yeah.
you come back the next day.
He'll be here tomorrow.
Exactly. He's like, it's not a felony. I don't think it was something like this. And I was like, okay, that was it. You imagine that same conversation in a normal workplace where one of your colleagues, if you heard somebody was in jail, 99.9% of the workplaces, you'd be like, oh my God, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? I don't believe it. You would freak out. For me and us, it was just was it a felony? Yeah, no. Okay, we'll be back the next day. Something I think shortly after that clicked in my brain, and that's where I was like, I gotta get out of here.
Right.
I'm done. And I got out.
Is this what I want to do?
No, that was it.
Right.
And then shortly after that, I found this. I've been working at my current employer right around 7 years. I think it's right. I think it might be 7 years, almost to the day.
Yeah.
Out of that environment. Oh my God. So, anyways, if you want to get just a feel
I'm gonna watch
that world, watch Telemarketers it's on Max. It's on Max. Check it out. Okay. All right, guys. Well, we're going to do some assumptive closing and ask you to come back after the break. Okay?
Yes, sounds good.
See? Works every time. ABC, always be closing. Always be closing, Nick. We'll be right back.
Four, three.
Hello.
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 Perfect. Perfect.
Fucking perfect.
If you can believe it, we didn't even rehearse that.
That's right.
Shocking.
That's right. That's right. Nice homage to the Three Stooges.
That's right.
If you don't know what that was, I'm sure. Yeah. All right. Pop culture headlines here, gentlemen. It's time for another homage here. A legend in the world of game shows. This man was definitely part of my childhood, without question. Memories of watching him at home with my mom in summertime when I was sick. It was must watch TV. If I was around, I sat down with Mom and watched The Price is Right with the legendary Bob Barker, one of the greatest, in my opinion, game show hosts that's ever. That has lived or that will ever live. He just had a great demeanor. He had The Price is Right down to a fucking science. You know, just great with the contestants. Yeah, a little controversy there with the models. You know, the one and that was a little bit of a rocky thing for him to deal with in the '90s. You know, that wasn't too good of a look. But the man hosted The Price is Right for, 30 years, something like
Yeah,
that. So
something like that.
Wow.
he also hosted Truth or Consequences. I think it was like 18 years, something like that. He had said all kinds of different gigs. He did Miss America for a while, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, he had Truth or Consequences for 18 years until it went off the air. And then again, yeah, he did 20 years as the MC of the Miss Universe and Miss America pageants. And then in 1969, he started a similar long run as host of the New Year's Day Tournament of Roses Parade. So just iconic in the world of television for many years. So I loved him. And then obviously, you know, had a great cameo in the Happy Gilmore movie. That was just hilarious. And then
Yeah.
if you've not seen these out there, go back and look at some, you know, there's clips on TikTok and YouTube and all that with Adam Sandler, you know, kind of goofing around with Bob Barker as Bob was getting a little older. There's a couple things they did, like where they reenacted a little. Didn't reenact it, but it was like
They
they
brought
got
the
in another
characters
fight.
back.
It kind of brought the characters back. Bob's in
Yeah.
a hospital bed, and Adam visits him as Bob's getting
Yeah.
older. That bit is just hilarious. So I love Bob Barker. He passed away recently here at age 99. Of course, a lot of jokes out there. You got the 99 without going over, you know, blah blah blah. So that's okay, but. That's it. So rest in peace, Bob Barker. So, Nick, any thoughts on the great Bob Barker, sir?
Yeah, I mean, you summed it all up perfectly. But isn't it funny though how everybody, like, regardless of age, and well, I guess it's a testament to how long he hosted The Price is Right. Everybody has that memory of The Price is Right, and it always goes hand in hand with when I was homesick for school or when it was summertime. You know, I've seen those memes. It's like I stayed home sick today from school starter pack, and it's got like your grandma's like Afghan and Bob Barker, Price is Right, and
That's what it
Campbell's
was,
chicken
man.
noodle soup, you know, and crackers, saltines.
That's what it was. Yep.
But yeah, and like you said, I mean, people of my age, I mean, probably know Bob Barker just as much, maybe if not more, from the Happy Gilmore cameo where he's, you know, kicking Happy's ass because they're doing the celebrity golf tournament. And it's just, yeah, it's phenomenal. So it's like I said, you summed it up really well. I didn't watch a ton of Prices Right, but who's not familiar with the show? But yeah, definitely rest in peace, Mr. Barker.
Yes, indeed.
Dean?
All right. Bob Barker, like you both said, was a staple and an icon in our lives. The majority of the human beings in the United States for the past 30 years, it's almost a taste response. If you taste chicken noodle soup, you probably think of Bob Barker because of that instinct of the when you stayed home from school. That was the da 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 da. You hear that music, him with the long microphone, and even as a child, you see him with the pure white hair because, you know, Brian, I'm not sure. Did he have pure white? He was probably
The dark hair
when you were a kid.
He had the dark hair for many years, and then he came out one day. It was just white, and
stopped dyeing it or
wow.
whatnot.
Right.
But that white hair is iconic with the long microphone. He is a staple of our childhood as much as G.I. Joe or Looney Tunes.
Sure.
He is that iconic.
Yeah.
He was the coolest old man children knew. He held control of the room, of your television. He held together your afternoon viewing and the same as Dick Clark did for fucking New Year's Eve, right?
Sure. Yeah,
like he is that icon staple in everybody's lives. And yes, he lived to 99 years old. So to say, oh, it's tragedy passing. We should all be so lucky. And as far as Brian, as what you said about like whatever controversy, I think I know what you're implying, but honestly, I don't remember hearing anything about that, and I refuse to let you tell me about it, or I'm gonna fucking read about it because I refuse to let you tarnish the good goddamn name of Bob Barker at this point after his beautiful passing to beyond.
Yep.
So, with that said, when we say, many people, we talk about this, in these segments about people passing, and we wax poetically about them. But this man, literally, in the American zeitgeist, is what an icon was and is.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
He is probably he is up there, recognizable in America to a 30 fucking years age group.
Sure.
As McDonald's, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's Ronald McDonald. They say is in Mickey Mouse when you talk about these iconic characters. Yes, I said McDonald's. I meant Ronald McDonald.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying these iconic like figures. I would say if you ask 30 year difference age group, they all would go and show pictures. And that's Bob Barker.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying about the icon. That's my point of that, Nick.
Yep.
So
if you ask almost anybody, name me 2 to 3 game show hosts of all time that you are familiar with, he's probably going to be in that 3. It's probably going to be like Alex Trebek, maybe Pat Sajak, Bob Barker. They're going to be maybe not in that, not quite in that order, but it's probably going to be at least one of the top 3 that you think of all time.
So, and even in that, I guarantee you, because of like the way childhood memories are created, right? I guarantee you that like if you showed Pat Sajak, Bob Barker, and Alex Trebek, 75% of everybody's going to know Bob Barker's name.
Mm-hmm. True.
Only a few, because they're going to look at Pat Sajak and go, "Oh, what's his name? The Wheel of Fortune guy." You know what I mean? And then a little more is going to go towards Alex Trebek. But I think Bob Barker is that icon because, like, it's not in passing. Like, I'm going to watch the last 10 minutes of this before my favorite show starts at 8 o'clock.
Right.
Type deal. Like, he was a staple. And then he grew such a gigantic audience with the Adam Sandler thing. Like, it was just a whole new thing. He hosted a Monday Night Raw a few times. Like they did a tribute to him on Monday Night Raw for WWE because he was like the best like guest host that they had. Like he did a thing where like he chopped Chris Jericho with like an old man karate chop and knocked him out and stuff. Like he did some ridiculous skits, but like he was cool on there, right? He was a 80-year-old man. Yep. And he was fucking cool doing that, right? And he didn't take himself seriously, and so I can't say enough about the man. He was an icon, a legend. Rest in peace. So that's what I got.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we mentioned he hosted The Price is Right for like 30 years. So there's another iconic pop culture property that's also celebrating 30 years, Nick, that you mentioned off camera here. So
we've only done this 3 years.
Yes. Well, we've done it 3 years. We're not quite at 30 just yet. But Nick, something else is celebrating 30 years. That's one of your favorite things of all time. What is that?
Correct.
Sir?
That is the
Dick's
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yes.
This week, I believe it was Tuesday, marked the 30-year anniversary of the premiere of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers back in 1993. So I know that was way after, you guys' interest in that kind of thing, but for kids in the 90s...
Brian was in his mid-60s at that point.
Yeah,
that's right. But for kids in the 90s at the time, and there was just nothing cooler. I mean, there's really no thing that better demonstrates my childhood to me than the Power Rangers was it. That was the ultimate. That was the ultimate thing. I was into a lot of different things. I liked, different sports and wrestling and different other shows and comic book heroes, but Power Rangers was this thing that burst onto the scene that was brand new, that was aimed for kids. And I mean, to this day, it's my favorite thing in the world. Like, I just love it. Like, it's still, posted a bunch of pictures that I found of me because I follow a lot of the original Power Rangers actors and actresses on Instagram, and they're all posting things and their own personal photos of, them and, while they were traveling and, doing media for the show and all of them hanging out together. So I'm like, shit, I know I've got albums of like pictures of me and Power Rangers stuff. And, as I'm going through, it's really like hitting me to where it was so cool to see these old pictures of me in all these costumes and getting to meet different people from the Power Rangers. And then like, I'm looking through my phone as I'm scrolling through and I'm finding pictures of my kids in my old Power Rangers costumes or playing with my Power Rangers figures or when we went to see the movie, just things like that. So it's been a really cool thing to pass on to my kids and have that thing that they enjoy that I used to enjoy because it was the whole world to me when I was a little kid. And so it's really cool to see that kind of carry on. There's a lot of things that people get nostalgic about, things that we grew up with. And as time goes on, I think, especially my generation, I don't want to say we didn't grow up, but we're the generation now that, they're adults now more than ever buying toys for themselves as adults.
Mm-hmm.
We have this, we feel like, I mean, much as we all have, we've all discussed before how we all feel like we grew up in, the best generation or the best time. And, now that my generation is and has been adults for some time, stuff like that, turning 30 years old is, it ages you, but it's really cool as well. Like it's really cool to see. Why is that?
Back in the day, it's called a midlife crisis. Back in the day, older
used to buy cars,
older people could afford cars. Now we're so fucking poor. All we can afford is action figures to feed that midlife crisis.
I don't gotta buy new ones. I still got my original ones from when I was a kid. Look at that. Yeah.
Nice.
But no, it was very cool to celebrate 30 years of the Power Rangers. And like I said before, when I was a kid, it was just the coolest thing in the world. It was the coolest show I had ever seen. The music, the morphing, the colors, the dinosaur robots, the everything was just fucking the coolest shit I've ever seen. And now I love watching it every bit as much as I did
Kimberly
as a kid.
Was quite easy on the eyes.
It's the funniest thing in the world. Like the acting, it's silly and the effects and things are so over the top, but it's a lot of fun. I don't know. It's just like anything we talk about with Star Wars or whatever. Like just some things you just got to be like, just enjoy it, have fun with it, and appreciate it for what it is. So happy 30 years to the Power Rangers. Everybody who was a part of that show.
You watch it differently
meant more
now,
to me than they'll ever know. What's that?
So you watch it differently
it's
now?
Cool. It's actually really cool because there's the one side of my brain that's like, I remember this episode. And I remember, like, Nick Kid brain is still in there to where I'm like, I remember this.
Okay,
Nick Adult brain laughs because I'm like, this is so silly.
Right. As a kid, you're watching, like, it going, yeah, fucking beat him up, destroy him. And, like, now you're watching as an adult, you're going, like, they smash through a city. You're like, oh my God, I hope all these fucking houses have insurance. And they call Blake Insurance.
Oh, there you go.
Because Blake Insurance is an Erie insurance agency located right here in Barberton, Ohio. They provide auto, home, renters, and business insurance with honesty, decency, and affordability. Erie Insurance is above all else in service. You want to call 234-571-5359 or visit BlakeInsuranceLLC.com for your free 5-minute quote today. And when you do, tell them that these idiot Rangers told you.
Mighty like stupid morphin idiots.
Stupid idiot morphin morons. Yeah, tell them we sent you.
I got more.
You almost had it. Yeah. You almost had it.
So close. I'm going to cry later.
Very good. Nice tribute, Nick, to the Power Rangers.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for bringing that up.
Sure. I thought this was kind of interesting. So, the writers are still on strike, as you may or may not know. This article caught my late night hosts team up for new podcast benefiting striking writers. So, Strike Force, not quite.
Oh,
but Strike. Well, you know what? We're going to commit right now. All of our proceeds for
Mm-hmm.
the next 3 weeks, okay, we're going to generously donate to the writer's strike.
I
There you
like
have it.
this.
The next 3 weeks. That's right.
Enjoy your 1/8 of a cent, writers.
We didn't say how much. We just
We did
said, that's it.
Huh.
So the biggest names in late night television are teaming up for a new podcast, and their proceeds are going to go to their striking writers. So Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers, Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, and John Oliver are all doing a podcast
Together?
together. Yes, it debuts yesterday. Debuted yesterday on Spotify.
What's it called?
Strike Force 5. Strike Force 5.
How in the hell did... We have a hard time not talking over each other with three of us.
I don't know, but I think it's pretty cool, and it's a temporary thing. They're going to run it for... I missed the time frame they're going to run it for. So they're going to do it for at least 12 episodes. Here you go. So they're going to take turns leading conversations, and that's it, and donate it to their writers. So that's pretty
Very cool. Yeah.
I'll check that out.
Yeah, so nice job. Talk show host, late night host. Very good. Barbenheimer, we're familiar with the term. That was the craze around people going out.
Is there even a Heimer in it anymore? Is it a Heimer at this point?
Oh, mine's been gone for years. Oh, Heimer. I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
So while the box office is sort of plateauing a little bit for these two movies, Oppenheimer and Barbie, it's still, both movies doing very well, especially Barbie, as we talked about last week or so. They topped $1 billion. Right?
I just saw they just passed Avengers Endgame.
It's nutty. Yeah,
Nick,
great.
I know you don't listen to this podcast. You're not a fan, but I saw it last week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I went to see it in theaters. Nick, you should watch it. Maybe it's not something you're going to go run to theater, but when you see it on streaming, watch it. I think you'll enjoy it.
I will watch that one. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
So the term Barbenheimer is continuing to stay in the lexicon. So that's kind of interesting as well. So some people are now starting to use the term in social media to describe like two opposite vibes or two opposite things.
Okay.
So you think about the Barbie movie and the Oppenheimer movie. So they're two different types of movies. They're not
like
intended to be like a contrast. Exactly right. So,
so 2/3 of this podcast is a Barbenheimer.
Sure. I guess you could say that.
Figure out which one that is.
That's right.
I think I know which one's different. I know which one of these things doesn't belong.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? So like somebody put a post up there, like it's giving Barbenheimer when they were talking about Trump's surrender and pumpkin spice latte in the news. So those are two opposite things. So someone posted, it's like, hey, it's like Barbenheimer, So
both are orange, as in both are movies, but both are very different things.
There you go. So who knows how long it'll last? But just the fact those movies are so popular,
that's kind of fun.
It's just kind of a fun term that I think we may see in social media for a little while. So yeah, so if you describe something as Barbenheimer, like I said, it's opposite vibes. Okay. One movie not performing too well at the box office, lower than expectations. There's a lot, I guess, maybe lately. The Blue Beetle. I'm kind of still interested to see this, the DC property.
Didn't you guys go see that or no?
No, I talked about planning to go see it. No, we never got around to go seeing it.
I honestly have no urge, or I don't care.
Well, that's what I want to
just like everybody else, I guess.
Well, it's predicting that it may lose around $100 million.
Oof.
Right. I like the kid that's playing the Blue Beetle. He plays in the Cobra Kai series. And why can't I find his name here? I thought I had it right here in front of me.
Roberto Rustafio.
No, it's Karate McChop Chop, wasn't it?
Maybe that's it.
Yeah, Karate McChop Chop.
Yeah.
I hope that kid's not Asian. Because that's going to sound horrible.
No, he's Latino.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. We'll get the name here in a minute, but I think it was going to be a series. Is what I read. That was intended to be a series, and then they put
That's
it
what
out
I originally heard.
Yeah. So anyway, so just real quick, why do you think it's not performing? Is it because it's not? I'm not blaming the actors. Yeah, there's a lot of fine actors in this movie. But like you said,
boy.
Dean,
Hold on. Give me the floor real quick because I don't know how to pronounce this.
Go ahead.
His name, the actor's name.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Zolo.
Zolo, right?
Is that how you pronounce that?
I think that's right. Yeah.
Xolo.
Zolo. Yeah.
Zolo. Okay. Mariduena.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of letters.
Flawless pronunciation.
Is there a J in there somewhere?
No. Zolo Mariduena.
There a J in there somewhere. Yeah.
Zolo Mariduena. No, that's his name.
Yep. All right. So why aren't you interested? I want to see the movie. It does intrigue me.
Because I can't pronounce his name.
Well, that's a factor.
Because there's no J in Marijuana or whatever it was.
Mariduena.
Is it the character is not mainstream? Is it because it's not tied to much? Is it because DC has sort of been fumbling a little bit here and there? So go ahead.
No, it's not. DC.
All those things. Okay.
No, at least for me, it is the same way I felt about Guardians of the Galaxy. When they first announced the first Guardians of the Galaxy, I go, I've never fucking heard of them. There's a fucking CGI trash panda. What the fuck do I care about this? Same way. I don't know the character.
By episode 3, turns out a lot.
No, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if I go ahead and probably watch Blue Beetle, I'm sure I would enjoy it.
Sure.
But going into it, I don't know of them, so why do I care? Like, especially for this character to start the DCU reboot. Why? Why not at least try to start it with some sort of character that people are familiar with? When I first heard they're doing a Blue Beetle, I honestly thought it was a joke. Not a joke, but I thought they were making up characters at this point. Turns out, just like Guardians, that they're actual comic book characters. So I don't think people know, so they don't care.
Okay.
Don't start it with a stranger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they already had this kind of made, so I think they just sort of tried to make this the first thing, if you will. So I think maybe the first official big thing is going to be the Superman Legacy. Actually, no, it's going to be the Creature Commandos animated series. I think is the next bigger thing.
Okay.
And then certainly the big movie is going to be Superman Legacy with the reboot
I've heard
cast
rumors
and all that stuff.
Gal Gadot is in talks to continue.
I've heard that, but also heard that that's just a rumor, but it's not really any truth to that. So, but Nick, what do you think? So you went like all those things. So you just it's just a couple of things.
So speaking for me personally, I am not super, like Dean said. I mean, I'm not opposed to seeing it, but I've not had the slightest inkling to be like, I want to see it. You know, I'm, like I said, not against it, but I haven't had the care to, because. First of all, this is a character, like Dean said, like you said, I don't know. Like, I'm not familiar with this character at all. And if this was a Marvel movie, because I've seen the trailers for Blue Beetle, and it looks okay. So if I saw that with Marvel slapped on it, I might be like, okay. But because I went and watched Black Adam, because I was like, there's another character that I didn't know who they were. And I went and watched it, and it was a DC movie. It was a better DC movie than some other ones, but it still wasn't that good. So because it's a DC movie and it's a character I don't know, I'm not in any type of rush to see it or even stream it. Like when it comes on streaming, like, I mean, I guess if I'm super bored one night and like Robin also wants to watch it, we'll check it out. But like, I'm not in any type of
just yells, "Oh, let's remake that Shazam movie with a different kid."
It got a little bit of that feel to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, I don't know. I think it's the like I said, I would love to see DC get off the ground and do some good things because they have some good
Absolutely.
characters. But it's the lack of familiarity with them at this point, and it's the track record of underwhelming movies that predate it. So,
Yep.
like I said, not opposed to seeing it. If something worked out and we did want to go to a theater, that'd be fine. It'd be fun to get together. Together with you guys and see the movie. But I am not in a hurry to see the movie because of the movie. I don't. It's not anything that is grabbing me that I'm like, I really want to check that out. Doesn't look bad, but there's just they haven't given me much to be excited about before, so that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. The James Gunn and the DC, they need a big win with the Superman movie. If that flops,
Huge.
then they're going to have some major problems. So we'll see what happens.
Almost like they need to have like fucking Barbie numbers. You know what I mean? Like
Right. It needs to be one of the most epic like box office victories.
It needs to be huge.
Yeah, in order to get this whole universe going again. And I'm not. I mean, I love James Gunn. I love everything he does, but that's a huge ask.
Yep. Yeah. A lot of pressure. Yeah. All right. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm with you. I'll definitely watch it on streaming. I don't know if I won't necessarily run to the theater and see it right now. But okay. One thing I may run to get is coming out in November here, guys, and this will tie to our main segment later. They're coming out with a new, this is so odd to say in the year 2023, a new Atari 2600 Plus. So this is a retro gaming console that's like a smaller version of the original Atari. It's got the wood paneling, the whole thing. I still have my original Atari 2600 that does work. I have all my original cartridges still. And this will be a smaller version that has an HDMI port.
Isn't that crazy? You have that antique system from 40 to 50 years ago, and it still works.
That's right.
And yet now your dick, nothing.
It's funny. Yep.
I say when they came out with the PlayStation 2, they advertised it as a DVD player and a game system because it could play DVDs. But if you used it as a DVD player full time, it would break the thing. So that thing,
are you still
just ruin your entire PlayStation 2? But the Atari works all these years later.
Yeah, so it's going to play the original 2600 cartridges and 7800 cartridges, and they have a new game they've made, Run Jumpman, a new Atari 2600 game.
A new Atari game.
New game. Huh. It's going to come with a cartridge with 10 games in it, like 10 classic Atari cartridges or games, and they're going to have the original joystick and the paddles. So even though I have the original that works, to get it to work on my TV is a weird connection because of the old connectivity it had to way back in the day with the screw. You had to screw a box in the back of the television and all that shit. So I'm interested to get this other version of it to play my old cartridges.
Have you ever thought about getting some sort of like stand up, kind of stand? Go on to eBay and get like an old school TV, and almost make like a stand up like arcade game with your Atari thing, where you have the little joystick there.
I have a box TV in my garage. If anybody wants it, it's like 27 inches or something.
See, there you go.
I have one in my basement. My color television I had when I was a teenager. I still have it and it still works. I guess
back then.
Yes, we did. But my original, I had black and white first, which is strange. Sure. Your first television was a black and white television. Anyway, I'm interested in this. I want to get it. I told Allie it's a good Christmas gift for me. And then, our main topic later is going to be favorite video games, and perhaps some Atari 2600 games may be on some of our lists, maybe mine at the very least. So, yeah. All right. For sake of time here, guys, so Dean, let's get into our Ask an Idiot question. You got an interesting topic this evening? Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Real quick, and this can be a very quick segment, guys. So, how did I put it, Brian? The idea,
the society has ended, is what it's right, or something. Where the world, as we know it,
the world, the society of the world, whatever's ended. But 100, 200, 300, whatever years from now, archaeologists find the USA whatever remains, dust them off, and they find you as a prominent figure. What is the story they find? Again, this is obviously made up because we're not that big yet, but in your fantasy, what do they find out about you? Give us a quick little story of what they find 300 years, what you meant to this society.
Go ahead, Nick.
When they find me, they will find, yes, this was the man who made Western civilization fully appreciate the wonder that was Jingle All the Way. He will have been the one that really brought it back to the masses. Some things, like Family Guy. Family Guy was canceled, right, after a few seasons. But then it came back bigger and better than ever. Same with Futurama. Some things just need time to marinate. And it will be I who usher in the future generations into the greatness that was the holiday classic and, quite honestly, cinematic classic, Jingle All the Way.
Very nice.
Yeah, someone's like, somewhere in the year like 2026 or 7, I don't know what happened, but they started to have, they replaced It's a Wonderful Life viewings with Jingle All the Way on Christmas Eve. All these theaters.
I feel like
close.
my journey has already begun because ever since we started this podcast, now I don't know if I have anything to do with it or not, or if it's just a coincidence, but the amount of people that I talk to and find that love that movie and chalk it up as one of the top, if not the top 3 holiday movies of all time, it's staggering. And I don't know if that's because I'm bringing it out to the people or not, but I'm just saying it could be a coincidence, but it just started happening around the time we were doing this podcast, and I'm sort of bringing up Jingle All the Way almost every week. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Good.
I mean, hey,
what will you be known for? Yes.
First of all, let's not take we started this podcast. You talk about Jingle All the Way. Everybody else is talking about Jingle All the Way. What 2 things has they brought back? Quantum Leap, Night Court.
There you go.
I'm just saying. There's something. We're a global podcast here.
We're having impact. Yep.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. I like that very much.
They're bringing back the Atari for Brian.
That's right.
See?
That's right.
There you go.
That's what we do here.
That's right. I mean, for me, obviously, I will say, in all seriousness, if I think all of us, some people would say, somehow they all had good kids. Somehow, so that
would be great.
Yeah. So they were sort of maybe floundering a little bit, whatever. But something happened. They had good kids, and they went on to do some good things. I think that'll be one thing that hopefully that they would say for all of us with a serious answer.
That'd be solid.
I mean, for us, I think Nick and I already discussed in a prior episode that, there's people somewhere, perhaps in a nuclear a bunker somewhere, like the luxury bunkers that Nick and I talked about.
Bunkers. Yeah.
Yep. So probably watching this very episode still of Convincing Idiots, right? So that we are leaving this legacy of ridiculous entertainment. I don't know, behind out there, so that's certainly something. And I think for me as well, they're going to uncover, it's going to be like almost like a, like they find like a pharaoh in a tomb, they keep finding rooms and different things like that. They're going to find that with me. It's going to be like a t-shirt room, different rooms, just different t-shirts. They're going to, dust off stuff like that. So this room's going to be like full of like, retro band music, t-shirts, and then a Star Wars chamber, like a Marvel room. Comic sports, it's chamber t-shirts.
That makes sense.
And that's probably to clothe.
All right.
Ethiopia or something like that. I don't know. It's something like that.
Hell, between all the t-shirts you have and all the t-shirts I have, we might survive this apocalypse just buried under a mountain of fabric.
Absolutely.
Pre-shrunk cotton, and below all of it is us.
Yeah. So you guys, everything went to shit, and how is it that you're still having a different shirt every time I see you? It's just, it's strange. There's no way to even wash clothes. I know. It's
one and done.
We're one and we toss it out.
Yep.
Dean, what about you?
All right, mine's very brief. They will unearth the story of Dean, the janitor. Dean was hired as a janitor for the government to clean up the facilities, and then one night on third shift, he was trying to look up porn. Somebody was coming in the room, and he wanted to turn it off real quick, and he accidentally hit the button, which sent off all of the nuclear bombs, and then they sent off nuclear bombs, and then they set off nuclear bombs. Because Dean was watching porn, he ended civilization.
That was by far the most accurate, I would say, story that we heard. If not for the fact that you had worked for the government, I don't think the government would hire you. But other than that, that is the most.
You should tell the chief of police.
I like it.
There you go.
Yes.
That's right.
Fantastic.
Well, if you're listening, watching, we're interested to know what your legacy might be someday. What are the future people going to find about you?
You had excellent taste in podcasts.
That's true.
Right.
That's true. That's true. And I just threw off my whole rhythm and hitting the warning here that we're going to run out of time here. Sorry.
I was going to say we're close here.
Yeah, we're fine. Got about 9 minutes. We're doing okay.
All right.
Fuck, I'm so close right now.
Yeah, that's right.
Come on,
I'm gonna start.
You can.
I'm gonna start yelling a little bit early here, guys.
Oh! I need a new sock.
All right. Well, join us for our continuousing. Our contingency. No, I'm kidding. Join us for our continuing
plan.
Legacy. I was trying to say, which will continue after the break.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Do you know how to use one of these?
GoldenEye. Load a rumble pack and see how it feels when 007 meets M64.
3.
Ching! Convincing idiots. Press start. Bum. Choose your fighter. Millennial, Nick. Gen X, Brian. Zennial, Dean. We are back here on Convincing Idiots for our third and final segment this evening.
Yeah.
We are discussing another Mount Rushmore, but this time we are discussing our Mount Rushmore of video games. That's right. We are men of many tastes. We like a lot of different things. We like music. We like comics. We like movies and TV and all that stuff. But we don't talk enough about video games, and especially coming from 3 different generations, what fun it might be, we thought, to discuss our Mount Rushmore of video games. So, I don't know about you guys. I know, Brian, you've ridden the wave of video games for a long time. You certainly
Brian,
have some
your
of the
first
earlier
one
consoles.
was where you had those sticks and you were just hitting the squirrel, right? That was your first video game?
Yeah.
Actually, the first one we had the original Pong on the television, the original one.
Okay.
Before the Atari.
It was
that was
just
the first
Pong.
one.
You hooked up the TV and
That was it. Boop, boop, boop. That was amazing back then.
Brian was there right at the beginning. I had the benefit of having a father who loved video games as much, or that's how I love video games, because my dad had to have every system when it came out. He was super into technology and video game systems, so I grew up with an assortment, the array of video game systems. And Dean, you've really dabbled in video games in your day, have you not?
Yeah, well, yeah. My parents, when I would ask them for the newest system, and they would beat me with potatoes.
Okay.
Until
that's
I
kind
saw,
of a game, really.
Yeah,
that's a game, you know.
Yeah, because I saw stars and stuff, because they were nice enough to use a sock.
That's nice.
So they beat me until I saw Stars, which was kind of like video game-ish. So, like,
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, different points of view is what we're getting at here. That's what we're
Exactly.
That's why you listen to the show, after all. So we're going to discuss our Mount Rushmore video games. So Brian, let's start with you and just work our way through the generations. We'll go Brian, Dean, Nick around the table. So Brian, let's start us. Why don't you start us off?
My number one, I'll end with the other ones are I could mix up the order, but I'm going to give you on the Nintendo Entertainment System Mortal Kombat, the first
There you go.
Mortal Kombat.
It's one of my honorable mentions there. Yeah.
Yeah, the original one just had the main characters.
But that wasn't on the NES, was it?
Yes, it was. Oh, yes, yes, indeed.
Huh.
Yes, indeed. It had the.
I had it on the Sega. So
okay,
yeah, we did too.
This was I think this was the
on
first
NES.
version of it ever. I think was that on the NES. You know,
Huh,
they
okay.
you know again had the main big characters: Raiden, Sub-Zero, Scorpion,
Yeah.
Kano. You know, and you fought
Johnny
you know,
Cage, Liu Kang,
Johnny Cage,
Sonya Blade,
Liu Kang,
yeah.
Sonya Blade. That was it, right? That was it. And then you fought the Shang Tsung was the main guy. You had
Goro.
Goro.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Who was just a motherfucker on that game. I loved it. I mean, there was a whole different look. Obviously, when they made that game, they literally had actors they were shooting to portray the characters and everything. And then you had the whole fatality and all that. Just the original version, so much fun. You didn't have all 4,000 characters and all that shit. But this was the start of that mega franchise. Obviously, there's tons and tons of other versions. I do have other Mortal Kombat versions, other gaming systems throughout time. Nintendo 64 has a version of the arcade, PS2,
Yeah.
PS3. Is all
The
kinds of
graphics
different
on
versions.
Mortal Kombat 11
Yeah.
on PS5 is wild.
I imagine.
Yeah.
It's crazy how
I have 10 on the
gruesome and things have
Xbox
got.
right now.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Fucking movies of Mortal Kombat, as we know, it's just a huge mega franchise and all that. All started with that original version, one of my favorite games of all time. There you go.
That's right. May I say, my favorite way to play Mortal Kombat to this day is on a good old-fashioned stand-up arcade. That's just, when you got to an arcade and you had Mortal Kombat on one of the, I mean, it was just, I don't know, just button mashing and all that shit. I mean,
Yep.
I don't know. I love Mortal Kombat on an arcade.
Lot of
But
fun.
yes, incredible game. Yes, very good. Good pick. Dean.
All right. I'm going to go old school. At least, I mean, not like total old school like Pong, but I'm going to go Super Mario Brothers.
Sure.
Okay.
And for me, if we're going my Mount Rushmore, I can't even. It was close to going the first one, but I've got to go with Super Mario Brothers 3
Okay.
because it gave you depth. You were able now to run back and forth. You could fucking fly as a raccoon.
Yep.
The underwater sequence. I mean, when it came out, the look of it that comparative to the first two. Now, the second one was a huge jump, but it was very weird, and it actually wasn't supposed to be a Super Mario Brothers game. They took a different game, and they needed a Super Mario Brothers game, so they just took Super Mario Brothers and superimposed it over this. I can't remember the other game that it originally was, but Super Mario Brothers 2 was not supposed to be a Super Mario Brothers game. So Super Mario Brothers 3, I look at as the sequel to the first one. So look of it, the feel of it. It is. I look at when you guys brought up this subject, I thought to myself, what games do I think of that produce a feeling? Not like, oh, I love to play it, but like Mortal Kombat. I will talk about in a minute. Mario Brothers 3 produce a smell in my brain. You know what I mean? Like I remember that childhood sitting there, the smells of the house that I'm at. That you know what I mean? Like the whole deal. They produce all of these games that should on your Mount Rushmore should produce in your brain memories that strong. And to me, Super Mario Brothers 3 is that strong feeling. it produces all of those, feels, right?
Yeah.
So Super Mario Brothers 3 is first on my list.
Fantastic.
Nick?
I'm going to start off real simple here because of my love for sports video games. Chill. NHL, whatever year from EA Sports. I love hockey games. There's been many different renditions of them across different systems over the years. But once the hockey video games made it to, and I'd say most sports video games, when they made it to like PlayStation 2 especially, when EA Sports got in the mix and got their hands on Madden, NHL, they had NBA Live at the time. They even had an NCAA game. The NHL franchise to this day is the game that I play like 90% of the time. It's just the easiest thing to plug in, play a game for 20 minutes to a half hour, and I love it. They each year they continue to update the what's the word I'm looking for? The physics of it, how the bodies move off of each other, stick handling. There's different things. But if I had to pick out a year, I would say 2003. And that's probably because that was one of the first years they really introduced. The players started looking a little more detailed. The hits were bigger. You could do more with the puck. And 2003 also, it just happened to hit in a time where I'm, 13 years old or something like that. So I had a lot of free time on my hand to play through that game constantly. They introduced new game modes like Be a GM mode and franchise mode where you could run your team and offer different contracts to players, build your roster really in depth. It was more than just playing the actual game. It was more strategy off the ice of it as well. So obviously I had to have a hockey video game in there, and being that I play them so much, but I'll say NHL 2003 for me is my first one. So Brian, next.
Very good. I've talked about it on prior episodes. The very first video game cartridge that I opened up on Christmas morning as a child. This gift as a kid, I don't know of any other gift as a child that brought me more joy and excitement than opening this up. Still vivid memories to this day. I can still picture sitting under the tree with the cartridge labeled "Open Me First," and totally shocked that I got this as a gift. It was like a dream gift that I circled in the JCPenney Christmas catalog, and my parents
You
got
would
it for
never
me.
have thought in a million years your parents liked you that much.
No, absolutely not. Right? That's the year I got the Atari 2600, but the first cartridge I opened up was Space Invaders.
Nice.
Space Invaders is just a solid game, but just the joy of getting that game, playing it on Christmas morning. There's still, I go back and play it. It still brings back those.
Right?
It really is.
Yeah.
Right. Just the emotions and the feelings, and just playing that on Christmas Day. It was a very good version of the arcade game for the Atari. So just for and Space Invaders is a solid game anyway. Simple,
Sure.
fun to play, easy to learn,
But still
all that
difficult
stuff.
as shit.
It is. It gets
Like
very
once you get to
difficult.
the fifth level, it's
Yes.
really goddamn hard.
Very hard. And the aliens move faster and faster and faster. So it definitely does.
I can't even imagine, because we're advanced right now, and I can't imagine what your tiny little 70s brains were doing back then.
That's right.
It was weird.
That's right. So anyway, all things, it's a great game, and just the joy that game brought me has to make my list. Space Invaders from the Atari 2600. Dean?
All right. I'm kind of going to go the same, Brian. The same concept. I remember back, it was 1980, I wanted to say 86 or 87. We had previously, in the early 80s, we had not only Atari, but Nintellivision.
Yep.
Television was the weird, it had the slide level. So once we
Was
had
that the hazelnut chocolate spread colored video game system?
Yeah, it's very wooden.
Yep.
But
little disc.
Yeah,
controller.
It was very weird, and it kind of wasn't great, right? So it kind of faded off. But then the Nintendo came out. 86 probably, right? And that was the craze, and not in a million years would we think that that Santa would bring our family a Nintendo. It's just not what happens. But it did. And we, there was 4 of us kids, and all of us opened up our individual, and then there was the one main gift, and all of us ripped it open. The 2 girls could care fucking less that we got a Nintendo, but us 2 boys were ecstatic about it. But that leads us to later that night when my aunt comes over that night, and we open, to me, one of the most solid, beautifully crafted video games, especially for that time. God damn it. We played Mike Tyson's Punch-Out for hours and hours and hours.
Good game.
Oh my God. From Glass Joe to Soda Popinski. I even as a code, when you go to start the game, 007-373-5963 is the code to get straight to Mike Tyson. Everybody remembers the Contra, the ABA up down start whatever.
Yeah.
To me, it's 007-373-5963.
I had mine.
That is the code.
AABBA. That is the level skip for Aladdin on Sega Genesis forever in my brain.
There you go. So to me, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out left that fucking the numeric code embedded in my brain.
Yeah,
it was
awesome.
It was so amazing.
Yeah.
So
Did
Mike
you ever
Tyson
defeat
Punch-Out.
Mike Tyson?
But never do it. I watched my cousin do it. Rest in peace, Aaron. But yeah, I watched him do it once. It was fucking amazing.
Nice.
But I could never do it.
I love those moments of just in those video games where you're with those are some of the best, so good moments in childhood when you're with your friends and somebody's about to do something amazing and you name the game, it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah.
But something that seems impossible and your friend's doing it, it's just like
you're holding your breath. It's like you're there.
Everybody,
with them.
yeah.
As a young boy is like, anyway.
The older I got, I that's why mine is all kind of like earlier stuff because I'm not very good at video games, even to this day. And a lot of my like teenage 20s, whatever years, video games is me watching. Like my friends play these awesome games because I'm shit at them. I'm the first player. I get in a corner and blow myself up every time. So I enjoyed watching other people play them like it was a goddamn movie. So yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Very good. Nick, let's just say Dean still enjoys watching. What's your next game, Nick?
Okay, my next one was also a Christmas present, actually. So Nintendo had Mario.
Is it your dad's attention?
Yes, right. No, I didn't get that. Nintendo had Mario. Sega had Sonic. And when PlayStation came out, they had their own, which was Crash Bandicoot. That was their
I forgot about him.
And Crash Bandicoot, what was so cool because PlayStation had the better graphics, was the newer system, and Crash Bandicoot was one that you didn't just move horizontally across the screen in a linear pattern. You could. It was a full range of motion. It was an open concept. You could go side to side. You could take different paths, go forward, go backwards. It was up and down.
Couldn't it be like 360 degrees at some point? Like the camera almost spun around him?
Yeah. There was different. I mean, there was some where there was levels in every Crash Bandicoot where you're running from something. In the early ones, there was a level where like a boulder would chase you, and you're running at the screen, dodging things as it's coming to get to the next checkpoint. Right? Yeah, and then like Crash Bandicoot 2 was a giant polar bear, and so on and so forth. But the Crash Bandicoot games are definitely on mine. Specifically, Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back. That was the first video game I ever completely beat all the way on my own. Beginning
I've never done
it. It was very trying at times. I'd thrown controllers. I'd screamed. I'd swore that I would never play it again. But those moments,
which is everything you've done to this podcast too.
That's right. That's right. But those moments, just like I'm assuming will happen with this someday, where you pushed through, you persevered, and you stuck with it, and you made it past another boss. It was
Do you
new
really
life
think you're gonna win this?
breathed into you. I don't know. It felt impossible on Crash 2 as well, but god damn it, I fucking did it. There was even a level where he rode a little baby polar bear, and like you move the entire time. You're just dodging things going forward, and like Crash 2 was just like my favorite video game ever. That was like that. This kind of one of those fun cartoon character like story mode games. And I still love Crash to this day. I've actually got Crash behind me as well. I got Crash, I got Power Rangers, everything's going on. But love me some Crash Bandicoot.
Nice.
So yeah, Crash Bandicoot 2 specifically was my favorite, but the Crash games, incredible. So, Brian.
Very good. Well, if you're watching us, you'll see that my shirt. If not, I'll describe. I'm wearing a Dallas, like an 8-bit helmet of the Dallas Cowboys. This is from one of the greatest sports games, in my opinion, one of the greatest sports football games. The great Tecmo Super Bowl for the Nintendo Entertainment System. This was like early 90s. And it made it kind of extra fun too, Nick, is this was the era where the Dallas Cowboys of the 90s were just about to break it. So this was, the Giants had won the Super Bowl the year prior.
Just
so
before they get Emmitt Smith?
No, they got Emmitt Smith on this game. So
Okay.
Dallas in the game had their core, had the triplets, right? This was like, so the Giants had won the Super Bowl the year prior, and Dallas went on to win the Super Bowl either the year the game came out or the year after, something like that, 91, 92, something like that. So, but just the game itself, it's a very simple to learn game. You pick a play, you run it. You control one player at a time. That's it, per play. And some of the players in the game are legendarily ridiculous to try to, like in this game. They've even made commercials of it, even over the last couple of years. Bo Jackson in Tecmo Super Bowl is just fucking ridiculous. When you play the Raiders in the Tecmo Super Bowl, as soon as Bo Jackson gets the ball, you were fucking panicking. Oh my God, Bo Jackson got the ball because he, 9 times out of 10 he's going to get past you, and once he gets past you in the game, you forget it.
He's gone. Yeah,
he's gone. But just the game itself, so fun. This is before Madden came out. I played this game for hours and hours and hours. I still will go back and play on occasion. It's still a lot of fun. You play the entire schedule. It's great. So the great Tecmo Super Bowl, awesome game on my Mount Rushmore.
very good.
Dean?
All right. So I had to backtrack, and I will put some of what was on my Mount Rushmore to honorable mentions because, as we said before, Mortal Kombat, you guys had already brought up. So actually, I wanted to change that to, it made me remember getting the original Nintendo Entertainment System. And what did it come with? It came with the two controllers, and what else? The gun.
Yes.
And what came with the gun? Goddamn Duck Hunt / Hogan's Alley.
Hogan's Alley.
You don't
I don't know
remember
about that one.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. So Duck Hunt. We all remember Duck Hunt.
Yeah.
Now wait, Duck Hunt was with Super Mario in the same game.
Yes.
Okay.
But
Go ahead.
when we got Santa brought Hogan's Alley.
Oh, the separate game. Gotcha. Okay.
Yes. So
Okay.
to me, that all came with together. But Duck Hunt, I mean, who didn't want to shoot that goddamn dog who popped up and laughed at you every time you missed the ducks? But like how innovative it was. Like up until 86, you've never had like you couldn't point at your own TV and shoot something.
That was cool.
Yeah.
To this day, I don't know how that goddamn works. Fuck, like your TV and it's not the. Anyways, regardless of the science of it, it was innovative. It was awesome. And Hogan's
Where's
Alley.
your buddy, the astrophysicist, at? He can come on here and tell us how that
Right?
damn
Tim?
duck hunt works.
Tim wants to come back on. Yeah.
And Hogan's
He was
Alley Hogan's Alley was an actual scenario for like police rookies, like recruiters or whatever, where they had what
like the
training to be
thing,
police.
right?
Yeah,
The
and
things
like
that pop
pops up.
Oh,
Is it
yeah,
good or bad?
that's
You shoot
right.
it if it's bad.
That's right.
Let it go if it's good. That's
Mhm.
the Hogan's Alley, and it
Okay.
was a video game, and the same thing. And it wasn't even like, and it was like true to form. Like it would pop up. It was cardboard. Like it had a little thing at the
Mhm.
bottom that held. So it didn't. It wasn't a real person. It was like an actual cardboard thing that popped up, and you were pretending like you were a rookie cop or in training. And just not only the hours that we spent playing with that alien technology that we just got, but like seeing my father try to deal with that, like just cursing it out and angrily arguing with the inanimate objects. It's just such a good time. So yeah, to me, the gun. I wrote down here Hogan's Alley, Duck Hunt, but I'm going to say the gun. The gun game, early gun games of the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Was it the Zapper? Was it called the
Yeah,
Zapper?
the Zapper. Yep, that's right.
Yep. Excellent.
The
Nick?
Zapper. Nice. Okay, so this one is my personal favorite. Sports. One of my favorite sports franchises of all time. This game was a cultural phenomenon to this day. NBA Jam. When I first played it on a Sega Genesis, you could play it on an arcade. It was across different platforms, but NBA Jam was 2-on-2 basketball with all the NBA teams. All the catchphrases, boom shakalaka, he's on fire, is it the shoes, jams it in, like all the things the commentators would say. And man, like to this day, so like my kids have one of the kind of like what you were talking about with the new Atari coming out. We have one of those new Sega Genesis that has the HDMI that has wireless controllers and stuff, and it still takes cartridges. So the first thing I went out and did, it's preloaded with like 80 games, but NBA Jam's not one of them. So I went to the exchange and I bought NBA Jam on Sega Genesis, put that sucker in there. Like I absolutely love that game. Just the ridiculous over the top dunks, the ball's on fire and you get on a streak, and the nets, you shatter the backboard and shit. I mean, it's so much fun. NBA Jam is one of my favorite sports video games ever, bar none. So NBA Jam for me.
What year was that about?
Oh
90s?
God, that was probably it was 90,
Yeah, 92, 93.
because the Bulls because they didn't have the rights to Michael Jordan. The Bulls were Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant. Those are the two that you had. You didn't, because they didn't have the rights to use Michael Jordan. So he was never Michael Jordan was never on a video game before like 2005 or something, because he owned his rights. So even when they owned NBA PA rights, they didn't have Michael Jordan until a certain amount of time. It was like early. It was like early 2000s before they ever were able to put him on a video game.
Wow.
But yeah.
Very good. Fast forward, he's now a billionaire, literally.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Shit. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. My next one is also on the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle arcade version. So there's a version in the arcade. The arcade game is fun. That's a great version. The version on the Nintendo is very true to the arcade. Yep. So much fun. Hard, but easy playing.
Very hard.
And that was one that a buddy of mine who says, passed on, rest in peace, Todd, he and I would play this game like a duel. You could play two players at the same time, which is great.
Yep.
So you had two different turtles playing. He and I played that game in the late 80s, hours and hours and hours and hours and hours.
Brian, is that one of the earlier games where you had the split screen? Where one guy's doing this.
No, you're on the same one.
No, this is.
No, I'm not saying the first, but like it's up there. What was the first though? Do you remember?
No, I don't know about that. But this version though, you were playing the turtles were on the screen at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm this turtle and you're this turtle, and we're on the screen fighting together at the same time.
And then when you get past the group of bad guys, you can move on together. Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. Because like if you over here, like in your guys over at the other screen, you're like, dude, come over here so we can keep going. You couldn't move forward because your other guy is.
That's correct.
That's
you got to move.
That's right.
Right. It was a scrolling view, always left to right, left to right, left to right. Sometimes you slow down.
So if you're waiting, you have to wait for this guy to come with you to go forward.
Yes. That's right.
Oliver
now.
and I play that game frequently. We played it as recently as 2 days ago. We were playing actually.
Yep.
So yeah, we have it on the PS5, but all the old arcade games, and we play it all the time. Yeah,
Love
It's
it.
fun.
still
So-
fun, still fun on the new system because it looks
And
the
it-
same and it's the
yeah.
you know, it operates the same.
And to defeat Shredder was, again, that was one of those things that was an accomplishment. It was teamwork. Teamwork
Yep.
together
Yeah.
to defeat. It was a lot of fun. You'd celebrate.
You got to
And
feed the
ending was-
pizzas and stuff. If somebody,
Yep.
one of your guys goes out, you can save them. Yep.
That's right. Anyway, great fun. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade version. Great game.
Absolutely.
All right, Dean.
All right. This next one, I wasn't sure exactly what year I remembered, because there has been always from just generic wrestling to like, my son has SmackDown
2K,
You know,
whatever.
2K, whatever, right? I remember the ones from like the 90s, like 98, right? SmackDown Bring It or whatever. But like to me, so I'm going to actually lump all of those. Like every from like, remember the early wrestling games, Starman
Mm-hmm.
and The Thing, right? Those are two of the characters from the arcade, what was it? WrestleMania, the arcade game where
WrestleMania 2000 or
No,
you're
I'm talking about the
old one?
original
Oh, okay.
WrestleMania arcade game with like Andre the Giant, Million Dollar Man, that version. To the 90s version where you could play Hunter Hearst Helmsley, you could play Mankind, from today where it's like fucking realistic. There's actual video storylines. So me being a fan of professional wrestling, throughout the time I'm going to cheat and just say professional wrestling video games in general have always been, choose your one that is depicted on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
But you could create a wrestler. So you create yourself, but like the image that you have of
Yeah, right.
yourself.
The fantastical, crazy version that you
Right.
want. Yeah. Right.
And like I was so pragmatic that I couldn't give myself like ridiculous muscles. I had to give myself the height that I knew I was. Like I couldn't in good conscience make myself absurd. So I would get beat because like I was me and I would create me just like a wrestling version of me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not good at that stuff, I guess.
I do have a specific one on my honorable mentions for wrestling because to me, there was no wrestling video games were never more fun than on N64. WCW NWO Revenge was perfect. Now the WWE had
and
their
they were
own
so
one
block and squared
developed by
and
THQ
silly.
that was called WrestleMania 2000. They also made No Mercy. That was another one. But the first one that came out like that THQ did was WCW NWO Revenge, and it was just awesome. So
very good. Wrestling games are just always great.
Yeah. So next up on my list, a big one on the PlayStation. This whole franchise is fucking fantastic. They recently, in the last couple of years, re-released it with new graphics, but the original two video games, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Those games, again, cultural stamp on people of my generation. It got me into skateboarding single-handedly. Like I never skateboarding was something Michelangelo from the Ninja Turtles did before Tony Hawk's Pro Skater came out. That immersed me into the world of watching skateboard videos, being obsessed with it, start skateboarding myself, the clothes, the shoes, the style, the music that it turned me on to through those video games. The soundtracks were incredible. Hip hop, punk, metal, everything was on these games and were super instrumental. So the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games are incredible. I have a deep love and appreciation for professional skateboarding to this day, like I said, single-handedly due to those video games. So it's hard to go wrong with the original. If I had to pick out one, I'd say THPS1. Tony Hawk's Underground was really good too, but those games, I mean, just through my middle school and high school years were just it. Like that's hours and hours and hours spent on those video games. So Tony Hawk's Pro Skater for my fourth. Brian?
Very good. I have reached my pinnacle My top game, again, many hours, a lot of great memories. At the time, I was living with my buddy Cooper, that you guys know. I got this game. We spent I countless. It was it was one of the very first person shooter games. Kind of took all that to another level. That was in the era of Doom on the Nintendo 64, Nick, that you talked about playing. We had that too. That was a lot of fun. That's up there.
Yeah.
But I bring you GoldenEye for the Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
This is Pierce Brosnan as James Bond. You are going around shooter. You get different guns. You fight different villains.
It was so insane. Like the fucking graphics were amazing.
It was a whole, at the time, you go back and look at it now, it's like a block people, but still at the time,
back then it was a whole new
fabulous.
World.
Yeah, well, prior to that, you had Wolfenstein, Duke Nukem, Doom, primarily on PC. Very blocky, very you can make everything out, but very very blocky. But the 64-bit brought in introduced a whole other element at the time.
Yeah, great classic villains, the music, and then you could play against each other. So now you're going around and you can find each other in mazes of different things. You're shooting against other players and all that stuff.
That actually is the game where I discovered I just blow myself up in the corner. That's the game where I realized, I can just watch my friends play it and still enjoy it.
Yeah. There you go. And I defeated that game. It was one of the video game highlight to defeat that game. Just so much fun.
Nice.
Terrific. GoldenEye.
Fantastic.
Nintendo 64. Dean?
All right, my last one. Very simple. I don't even remember what system it was on. I've only played it like in stand-up and whatever. Burger Time.
Sure.
It was the idea of kind of a Mario or a Donkey Kong setup situation where you have to run over each thing of the burger to drop it down to the next. I don't know why. I love it.
Did you get the orders right and everything?
Yeah. I can't explain it, but fuck, I love that game. I wish I could. I don't have a game system hooked up to my main TV now, but if I did, that's the only game I want. It's just Burger Time. So I can't even find it on my phone because that would take up like my entire life. But I love fucking Burger Time.
I have a version of that, Dean, on the Atari called Pressure Cooker by Activision. It's just that same type of thing. You got to get the orders right. I saw that one,
but like for some reason, like my OCD brain is like, no, I needed to say Burger Time.
No, it's fine. But same type of deal. But it's good. It's fun. Good.
There's one you can get where you could one of the it's Walmart. We can plug it in the TV and you can play it. But like I'm so cheap as like, $35, this thing, I'm like, nah, I'm all right. I don't need to play it that bad.
$35, my goodness.
You know how much beer I can buy with $35?
That's like one night
3
out
beers at a crap house. 3 beers.
Exactly.
Almost. That's right. Oh boy.
Right. I know we're running low on time, so I'm going to go real quick. Fifth and final one. EB Off-Road Fury. If you're not familiar, that was an electric bike simulator made by our friends at RPM Bike Shop. That's right. If you haven't heard of RPM Bike Shop, they have the finest selection of electric bikes to offer you. All you have to do is go to Facebook and type in RPM Bike Shop. You can see all the wonderful electric bikes they have to offer you. You can also go to their website, rpmbikeshop.com, to see all that information and so much more. Or give them a ring ding, 330-808-7792 today to talk to one of their lovely sales associates. And you can be on your own off-road adventure with your electric bike from RPM Bike Shop today. Oh, sorry, I had to get that in. I almost forgot RPM. I had, for my last spot, I had it's been so many years of playing so many different video games and so many meant so much to me. But I landed on this last one just because of at the time that it hit, and it was something truly different at the time to me. The first time I played a Grand Theft Auto game was Grand Theft Auto 3. This was the first, it blew my mind. Sure, there were other games you could go forward, backwards, and roam through, whatever. This was a truly free roam. You could play through the story when you wanted to and go to a special spot and continue on the story. Or You could let your inner anarchist out and just go steal cars, beat the shit out of people, steal money, kill hookers, whatever.
Dude,
You could do it
yes.
all day long. And it was like, whatever. You could set things on fire. You could use a flamethrower. You could do what, like, it was wild. Like, you could, to me, Grand Theft Auto peaked at Vice City. Grand Theft Auto Vice City. I can still get around. The map of the entire Vice City is in my head to this day. I know exactly where to tell you to go to get to everywhere in the entire map of Grand Theft Auto Vice City.
That was the 80s one, right? The 80s
that was the 80s one. Yeah, it was, incredible
Miami Vice
soundtrack.
type
Yeah,
deal.
it was awesome. Yeah. You had more than just cars now. You have motorcycles. You could fly planes. You could jet skis, the whole 9 yards.
Huge.
But Vice City was incredible. But Grand Theft Auto just struck because I was like, you could just go and do whatever the fuck you wanted in this game.
Yeah.
At all times. And like I said, when you wanted to pick up the story and do another mission, you knew where to go. That was dotted on the map. You could go there and carry on. But for the most part, it was your world. It was your adventure. You do whatever the hell you want. And it was just really cool to me. So that's my last spot. Do you guys have any honorable mentions quickly to go through?
Yes. So one at a time, rattle them off.
Yep.
Just rattle them off.
Just rattle them off.
Okay. I want to give you Pac-Man Classic.
Sure.
Yep.
Arcade. That's one of the probably the arcade I played the most as a kid. Yeah,
Great.
huge. Yeah, really did. Huge popper culture. Madden football. Just the different versions of that throughout the years. So much fun. Great version. John Madden, obviously, part of that. Helped you learn the game of football.
That's true.
Literally.
Yeah.
That was his goal. He said, I'm not going to do the video game unless I get to teach the game of football.
And it did.
It really made me a better football fan. And
For sure.
It literally did make you learn the game more, right? So as you watch football, a lot of fans got better because of Madden football, more knowledgeable, I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Bosconian, which is a very obscure arcade game. You should play Furnish a bit low basis. One of my favorite games, though. I have a version of it on the PS2. Love it. And Kaboom was a Atari 2600 game. This is when you have your buckets, you're catching the bombs that this guy's dropping off a building. One of my Tim that you met, his mother, bless her heart, just passed away not long ago, like a year or so ago. They lived across the street from me as a child. She loved that game. There was a lot of hours that I would be hanging out over there, and Tim would be doing whatever, and his mom, Brian, do you want to play Kaboom? Her and I would play Kaboom for many hours together. The fond memories of playing that game with her, love it. That in itself makes my honorable mention. Rest in peace, Kay. Love you. Dean?
Very cool.
Very
cool.
Oh, no, Brian, didn't you want to mention that last one? I don't know. What was that video game where they used to get tattooed?
That's right. That would be the Golden Heart tattoo for the...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think it might have been the PlayStation 3, if I'm not mistaken. But relive those moments in person with Scott at Golden Heart Tattoo. Find them on Facebook at Golden Heart Norton, Norton. Give them a call at 234-706-2982. Find them online, goldenhearttattoos.com. And put them on your Mount Rushmore of tattooists, good experience of the year, something like that. So there you have it. Dean, any honorable mentions that you have?
We already talked about it. Mortal Kombat is only honorable mention for me because you guys mentioned it first. But my other honorable mention is me and Tim Finley in our 20s would get drunk and just play Jeopardy. For hours upon hours.
I have that on the Switch right now, actually.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I fucking loved it because I'm not good at like I've established here in like action games and whatnot, right? So just I loved, the trivia and answer the questions. And so we played for fucking hours. So I don't remember what game console we had it for, but Jeopardy is my honorable mention.
I love that game too. And Wheel of Fortune too. A lot of fun.
Yep.
Nice.
Nikolai?
A lot of my honorable mentions I've peppered in as we've talked about them, but the only two we haven't mentioned. The first video game I ever played at home, Sonic the Hedgehog on Sega Genesis.
Sure.
Sonic the Hedgehog was, you just remember how fast it looked like he was running and going upside down and collecting those rings. It was such a rush. Very cool as a kid. And then all the way up to present day, the best video game I have played in years and years and years is one that I played in the last year. And in the last couple of years, the franchise, the Spider-Man games, the Amazing Spider-Man games are incredible. The first one that came out in 2018, the one game of the year or whatever, so awesome, so realistic. The storyline, brilliant, incredible. It's like watching a movie, a Spider-Man movie, and you don't know where it's going to take you next. And then Spider-Man Miles Morales that came out in 2020 that was coincided with the launch of the PS5. I got with my PS5 last Christmas. That's probably the most fun. That's the most fun storytelling video game I've ever played in my entire life. So both video games are solid. We all play, and it's a lot of fun for me to play with Lane and Oliver. We all take turns with the controller and play through the story together. It's kind of a fun thing, and the story's so good and so immersive. And like I said, it's like watching a movie. Spider-Man 2, where Miles and Spider-Man team up against Kraven and Venom, coming out in October. I have it pre-ordered at GameStop, so we can't wait for that to come out October 20th, as a matter of fact. But yeah, those Spider-Man games are incredible. The graphics are unreal, unlike anything you've ever seen. The story is so well thought out. Everything's just awesome in those games. Super easy to control, and a lot of fun. Very realistic. So that's about it for me.
All right, I need one last honorable mention. Carter I got him for Santa. Got it last year for Christmas. The show, MLB The Show.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember what it was, 20, 21, 22, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it was like 22. But like you can play, like you can create your own all-star team, and you can go through like literally the history of baseball. You can have Mike Trout and fucking Babe Ruth on the same team.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, like a legacy thing. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And he does these home run derbies where him and I, and again, same as when I was a teenager, I'm watching my friends play it. I sit there and watch him play it. So I just go there and like recommend like who I want in the home run derby, and he does the physical playing. But yeah, you can play all of that. It's so cool. So yeah, nice. The show, MLB The Show, all of it. So that's
very cool.
I'm done.
There it is.
Very good.
From beginning to end, video games. We've worked our way around here. We've gone through the years and the eras of video games. So good stuff.
Very good, guys. I have one more question here. So,
okay,
the video game you defeated that was one of your. It could be others, it could be many, but just like one of your better video game accomplishments. Like the game was maybe hard to defeat or something like that. So, Nick, does any come to mind for you that you beat the game and it's like, wow?
Yeah, I think for me, it probably was Crash Bandicoot 2, which I mentioned earlier, just because I mean, there were so many times I was willing to walk away from it. I was like, fuck it, I'm done.
2,
I can't.
Electric Boogaloo.
I can't do this anymore. I can't deal with this. Like, apparently I can't do it. But you keep coming back. New eyes, you keep trying it, and eventually I busted through. So that was probably my favorite. Other games and story modes and things, I've put it on like easier modes to, when it gets so hard, and I'm like, well, I just want to get to the end, whatever. Certainly sports games, especially with the NHL games, like I used to be able to play NHL on the very hardest level and still win easily every single game. So there were times I would say one of my greatest accomplishments is on NHL 2003 and 2009 were two that I played a lot. I think on 09 I played through 3 full seasons. So I'm playing 82 games, and I'm playing preseasons, and I'm playing best of 7 playoff series. 3 years of that. So that was probably more, not necessarily because it was difficult, but just dedication to the cause. That was
sure.
I was pretty impressed with the amount of time. I don't know if that's impressive or sad, but that was the amount of time that I put into the video game to go through 3 entire seasons is quite a feat.
Very good.
So,
Dean, have you ever beat a video game?
No. What about you?
Yes.
Unless this video game's named Dick. Beat that all the time.
Well, the hardest games I beat in the Nintendo Entertainment System also was the Batman video game. This is based on the Batman movie, so this is late 80s. Those games back then for the Nintendo, there's no fucking save.
Right.
So, so you are just
keep going.
You're in it to win it or lose it, regardless how long it takes. And to get all the way through that fucking game and get to the Joker.
Yep.
And somehow I still remember he pulls out this super long gun that just kicks your ass and all that stuff. I know I've made it to the Joker before and lost. It's just like, fuck. And to get back to him again, you got to start all over and work your way through the entire game, which is not easy. You're talking, this is hours of time. The time when I beat the Joker, and it gave you like a clip from the movie where, you know, Michael Keaton, he throws the Joker off the ledge and shit like that. I mean, all that was in the game and everything, but that was like, yes, you know. Anyway, one of the hardest games I ever beat. Another question on the other side of it. A game that you kept trying to beat, Nick, never could do it, and eventually just said fuck it. You just could not do it, or you ran out, or you got another game or whatever it is, but you never made your way back.
I have an answer to that.
To win.
All of them?
Yeah, yes.
No.
Go ahead, D.
Life.
Start with you then.
Oh,
Life.
Yeah. Fuck it.
It is a motherfucker.
I just finally said fuck it. I don't give a shit.
Yep.
I
no
will
cheat
say,
code there.
No.
I made it to I did make it to the last level of Aladdin on Sega Genesis where you face Jafar.
Mm-hmm.
But I had never beat that level. I did have to live vicariously through a friend of mine in high school. Her name was Sam. We found my old Sega Genesis and we brought it out, and she played every level of that game, and I watched her beat Jafar.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like you mentioned, it was one of the...
You're a real fucking loser, you know that?
My heart's racing, and I'm watching my friend do that. I'm like, yes, you got it. And she does it. And it's just like, oh my God. Like, I've been here, but she's doing it. And I'm like, oh my God, you're going to do it. You're going to beat Jafar. You're going to do this. And like, it was a
Did you switch roles and later watch?
Did.
Did she get to watch you make a goddamn sandwich or something?
I was over in the corner buttering my buns. Yeah, but no, it's there's quite a few games that I eventually got to a point where I'm just like, I can't get past this. Like I get discouraged and I just walk away from it.
For me, I still have the game system to the Super Nintendo. This was the system after the Nintendo Entertainment System, before Nintendo 64. I have motherfucking Super Star Wars. You ever play that game?
Super Star Wars?
No.
Super Star Wars. It's actually a lot of fun. Well, fun / frustrating, you know, whatever you want to say. But they had all three. They had Super Star Wars, Super Empire Strikes Back, Super Return of the Jedi. Now, Empire Strikes Back, they eventually had a code. That was one of the first games I can recall that you had a code to pick up where you left off.
Okay. Oh, okay, yeah. Like that was its save.
That was its save. Exactly. So you defeated a level. It gave you a code. You literally had to write down the fucking code, because if you didn't write it down, sorry.
Right.
You know, but Super Star Wars did not have any code. There's ways you can get like bonus lives and all that type of stuff, but just that constant, continuous. You start out as Luke Skywalker and you go through different phases of the movie. Now there's different levels you beat, and you go on to the next level, and then the next maybe you get to play Han Solo in the next level, stuff like that. But it didn't save it. That game, I got so far, never could get all the way to the Death Star and blow up the Death Star. Like last year or so, I still have it. I hooked up to my big TV. I thought, you know what? It's gonna be fun. I'm gonna sit down. This is gonna be a nice retro evening by myself.
You're just mad.
I'm just gonna I haven't played this game in so long. Super Star Wars. I want to enjoy this. Sit down. I got me a drink or something like that. I put that game in, and I instantly reverted back to that kid, like, this motherfucking game, you know, couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
Is it one of the most frustrating games that's ever existed, in my opinion.
Some things stay frustrating.
That's right.
Much like the show. If you're listening.
That's right. That's right. Well, similar, guys, to the old Nintendo Entertainment System, there's no save. This is a continuously flowing game.
And flawed.
That's right. Like it or not, it is continuing to move. But you have, if you're continuing to listen or watch, you out there have indeed beat this game tonight and made it to the end of another episode of Convincing Idiots. Nick,
congratulations.
That's right.
That's right. Congratulations, you have made it to the end of this episode of Convincing Idiots. If you would like to continue your journey, you may find us on all of your favorite social media platforms. To do so, we would like to suggest that you go to our Convincing Idiots link tree. Just Google Convincing Idiots, LINKTREE, and you will find all of our social media accounts. All that and so much more on our website, convincingidiots.wordpress.com is where we can be found on the interwebs. So, for this episode of Convincing Idiots, I am Millennial Nick.
I'm Zennial Dean.
Gen X Brian.
Have we convinced you to press start on the next episode of Convincing Idiots?
Everybody, Gen X Brian with Millennial Nick and Zennial Dean. We need more people besides Nick's mom watching us. Give us a like and subscribe.